Meghna, basically, on a daily basis today, how has how is your day spent with? What do you start with from morning till evening? Managing what all operations?
Every day is different, but if I was to tell you what I did today, usually we come into office, we do a morning huddle, understand what everybody's to-dos are. Today we plan what ads we need to shoot for the next campaigns, and we communicated that to the team that's handling that. Then I tried to recover payments from a bad client.
That's the hardest part, no?
No, there's worse.
Oh, yeah? Tell us what is worse?
I mean, there are certain things that you have to do that you really don't like to do, like taxes.
Yeah, I don't know anybody in the world.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's on the lighter note. But yeah, I think when it's expected, it's manageable. Mm-hmm. But when unexpected problems come, that's really, that's interesting. But yes, I did that, and then...
Do you give head to everything in today's day? Like, I mean, marketing, are you having specific people who can take?
I do, parts? Yeah. So the way that it's structured is that we have two people in the founder's office. One takes care of sales and marketing. There's another who takes care of operations and kitchen.
Okay.
So she has done hospitality and things like that. She is in touch with our junior sous chef, our everybody basically in the kitchen, and she makes sure that the wheel is running smoothly over there. So because the kitchen is also our oldest department, it's very set.
Mm-hmm.
So I rarely have to worry in that part.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, once in a while things will go wrong. That's part and parcel. But I don't have to go and check, what are you doing today? Who's doing what training are they getting? Mm-hmm. They take care of it themselves. Mm-hmm. I do interviews, so I had 2 interviews today. So I make sure more than anything that they're a cultural fit. If I feel like they're sincere and things, how much ever you can come to know in an interview, then I leave it to the department to train them.
Okay.
So I met another person today, and then for sales and marketing, I'm more involved. I also realized that's the part of the business that I'm more excited about.
Okay.
So especially when our focus was corporate sales, going and meeting clients, converting clients, and converting, it's a very business-like way of saying it.
Yeah.
But I have really come to believe that you do business with your friends, and if you can somehow build a friendship with them, then people buy from people, people don't buy products.
Nice.
Especially in a business as competitive as ours, there's a bakery on every corner, and it's most likely that there's one on the same road,
right?
And we are further, we're more expensive, there's a lot of friction, but people still come back to us because the trust is there.
Mm-hmm.
So that for me is a very, very fulfilling part of it. Marketing I'm still trying to learn. I did kind of learn the B2B side of marketing, but now that we want to switch over to B2C again and build a brand, that's something we're just testing with. We're doing some A/B testing, running different types of ads, seeing how that will work, seeing the analytics, trying to understand all those numbers and terms, and so it's a new day every day.
So in today's day and age, you are more focused on gourmet gifts kind of approach, right? So now the thought of this would have come from many places, but in as of today, so what do you see as the consumer behavior around this? As in, how are people differently looking into this? Has people evolved from gifting, normal things? I mean, I wouldn't say that's a very bad way to put it. So it's like, they used to go, if someone buys a house, they just go and gift probably a plant or something else randomly.
Yeah.
But now, are people moving towards these kind of products that you're offering, like gourmets at that level overall?
Yeah, so I know that premiumization is happening, in the sense that people are okay with spending a little bit more if they feel that there is value in what they are spending in. I also think in terms of the concept of gourmet gifting, the whole idea is that um, we when we say gourmet, typically you and I will think that it's a Western idea.
Yeah.
Right? So you'll expect a hamper that has some blueberry jam and some sourdough bread and all of that fancy French stuff.
Right.
And while that is great, nothing wrong with that, what I realized is if you Google gourmet, the definition means high quality products.
Okay.
That's it. And so we could take what is so ingrained in the Indian culture, some of the ingredients that we use, and make them high quality. Combine it a little bit with the Western techniques and make a really unique, different gift hamper that somebody will, have, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I had that the other day. You have to taste it." When people have that kind of reaction, then you know you've done something well.
Okay.
So that's the idea behind gourmet gifting, and why in a housewarming, like you said, when you want to be a little bit different, because a gift is a reflection of your personality, they'll say, "Oh, Meghna always brings very unique gifts." Right? There are people like that in every friend circle, every family, and those are the people that we are catering to.
Okay. But you said, from the blueberry jam kind of a thing, which is what is the picture in my head also from the very beginning. Now, why did you actually choose to be in a different mode, like the desi mode or something like that? Why couldn't you, what made you choose that? Basically, you could have just decided to just stick to that. There would still be people buying those kind of gifts.
There's a huge market.
Yeah.
It actually, this year I was looking for inspiration. I said, okay, we're going to niche down, we have to build a brand. But you can't build a brand without having a USP. I spoke to so many entrepreneurs, listened to podcasts, went through analysis paralysis, cried to myself, I don't have USP, I don't have USP. Anybody can make a cake, what's the big deal? And then it just so happened that my husband and I, we traveled a lot this year. And we went to different places, and my travel itinerary revolves around food. So, which bakery are we going to? So, we went to, we saw the world's oldest restaurant. We saw Paris's oldest bakery. So I went on some pastry tours. And wherever I went, whether it was like a really small hole-in-the-wall kind of place or it was a Michelin star, I would go and say, "Oh, by the way, I have a bakery in India."
Just introducing yourself, huh?
Just introduce myself, and people would kind of warm up to you. They say, "Oh, what do you make? What is so famous over there? What are the ingredients?" And I realized I didn't have an answer. Right? So I found it so fascinating that in Switzerland, I went to the Lindt factory. And they made us realize that Switzerland doesn't have cocoa trees. Lindt, the chocolates. And so there is no growth of cocoa trees in Switzerland. But why is it so famous for chocolates? Right? And it's because of the cows. Because the milk is such good quality that their milk chocolate became very famous.
Wow, this is a nice insight.
So I thought that was quite mind-blowing, and because cocoa trees actually come from West African countries. Then when we went to Paris, I was doing a pastry tour, and then he was explaining to us that almonds are very good, which is why macarons became very famous. Right? The almond flour is a very good quality. So same thing. Oh, what do you have in India? Oh, you work a lot with ghee. And then I was like, oh yeah, we do. Right? Like our Indian sweets. And I didn't know until that point that they don't have ghee abroad. Right?
I still don't know. I'm getting a lot of love.
But it's a very distinct flavor. And so then I made, that besan laddu cookie was also happening in parallel. And then we made some more things within the same collection. So we said, okay, how do we go into the savory bit? So we all sat down as a team. And we said, okay, let's have a discussion where you all tell me, if I was to come to your house on a festival, whatever festival is most famous in your house, what would I get to eat? What would your grandmother be making? Right? So everybody had different things to contribute. And then we realized one of the things that's common in even just normal meals is pickle. So we took mango pickle and we mixed it with the dough. And we made achari yam crackers. So it's very fragrant and you can taste and smell the pickle. So we did these kind of things. It was very exciting. And then I also gave it to a few foreigners who had come. And they were able to eat it because they knew the form and shape as a cracker or as a cookie. And at the same time, it was a flavor that was unfamiliar to them, but very tasty. So we did the rava laddu cookie, and rava laddu usually has a bit of cardamom. So they had that, they got the elaichi taste, and they were like, this is so nice. But it's not overly sweet like what our Indian mithais are. Well, those are lovely. I always say if this business settles down, I'll become a mithai shop owner. But they were in a slightly Western way, in a gourmet way. And then the whole idea of the Desi Gourmet collection came about. And I said, oh, finally I have a USP.
Eureka USP.
So yeah, it was a journey learning all of it. It took me the entirety of this year. But I think it's worth it because I'm very excited for what's to come.
Great. So, I mean, you had a focus group and then you did all this, but you would also had some initial success on this, right? Like that would have also, established this thought in you even more that, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because like even now I'm thinking, so for someone who's going to go to someone else's house, like as a house party, say, and I'm thinking I need to get something for them. For me to choose, for me to remember your gourmet collection and everything, is like that they see touch is there, right? So are you kind of thinking new age target group, or like if a family level people would be there, or did you see who bought this more in the beginning stages?
Yeah, so I did a whole exercise that we were talking about earlier this evening, where I spoke to our top customers and we had long conversations to understand their buying behavior.
Okay.
And what I realized is the younger ones who are in or a little bit out of college, they of course have lesser disposable income. So they, they want to do something special for their friends, but they'll do like 4 cupcakes, a bento cake, something really small. But when you get into gifting and the average order value that we are looking at, 1200 rupees and above, you need to have a slightly higher disposable income, which comes with age, comes with being in the workforce for some time. So, which made me realize that before we might have been targeting the college group, but now we are targeting people 25, 28, 35. By that age group, sometimes people also have children. When they have children, they have more events. They have baby showers. They want to give a gift for that. They have, whatever, bachelor parties. There are many more occasions for which they have to spend money on a gift. And so that became our target group.
Nice. Okay. So, having said that, right, like there was a famous thing which we also spoke about in one of our previous season episodes, where let's say Netflix, for example, they don't see Amazon Prime alone as their competition. They see things like Wonderla or a mall, anything which is in the entertainment business. So for you also, since you're into the gifting business, not sweets or not your crackers or that kind of, so you wouldn't be treating. I don't know if you can name the brands, but just for the matter, right? Like Crack Jack, you wouldn't treat that as a brand. So you would be treating the whole gifting, anything of that sort. So
I mean, anything can be a gift. If you have some nostalgic attachment to Crack Jack that your grandmother would give you, and now she's no more, but you remember it every time you go to your ancestral home, then that is a gift, right? If someone very close to you brings a box of Crack Jack, you will remember that. So anything under the sun is a gift. There are indirect and direct competitors for depending on the use case. So the way I put it is, in some cases you're very close to the person, you know what they like, and I would encourage in that case get something personalized, because there's nothing more special than that. But in India, because of the kind of culture and customs we have, we are a social society. We like to go to each other's houses, we like to take something. So many occasions call for a gift: Rakhi, Eid, Diwali, Holi. In every part of India, there is a different date on which you have some exchange of gifts. For that, when you don't know what the other person wants, you need a gift and you don't know what to gift, that's when something will come to us.
So marketing, because you said you're concentrating more on sales and marketing, right? So you are not, you're not thinking that consumers themselves will come and as a approach they have changed for gifting such things, right? Like as a practice that this is, let us say, we're all evolving to that kind of a mode. You're not only relying on that, but you're also like doing something to enable the people in the consumer's mind that this also can be a gift. Is that is also part of the marketing thing that you're performing, or is it like you're happy to know that the lifestyles of people are evolving? You said that premiumization, and there are like a group of people. They will come to. I mean, they will treat these as. I'm not even asking if you're targeting them.
Yeah.
They will treat. They will consume this anyhow.
Yeah.
So they would come to me if I'm the best in that business.
Yeah. See, what happens is a gift is something that the person will use and enjoy, and food is an indulgence. I mean, sweets, the kind of products we are putting, they are indulgences, so they will enjoy. So by default, any type of celebration, whether it is in the Western world or this side of the globe, that celebration happens with food, with sweets, with cakes. In many cultures with alcohol, but those are all like things to be happy about, right? So we luckily do not have to change consumer behavior and say, oh, now look at this as a chance to celebrate. That custom is already there. We are riding the same wave. What we are trying to not change but give them a new option is that when you like I have to go to my in-laws house. Now in India खाली हाथ तो नहीं जा सकते, right? So कुछ तो लेके जाएंगे. Yeah, तो खाली हाथ, how you're going to your in-laws house, how can you go empty-handed, right? So now my parents went and met my in-laws before I got married. Once they took a box of dry fruits, next they took a box of normal fruits, then they took a box of mithai. Fourth time they didn't know what to take. Like what else?
Yes, my visiting card.
Yeah. What else can you keep taking? So then that's what we're seeing. We're a fourth dimension, if you please, where someone wants something slightly different. They want to say, hey, I've never tasted this before, but it's so familiar at the same time. It's great quality. It reflects our Indian tradition while being modern at the same time. When they want to do all of these things, they want to check these boxes, that's when we come into the picture.
I mean, just for the just like a trivia, I think the when you spoke about that, what came to my mind is Cadbury's actually, like Mondelez. They were the ones who kind of started the celebration. They thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So you were speaking about the Switzerland cows and those things, right? That was very, very fascinating.
Yeah.
So anything else that you learned amongst your trips and like the places that you've traveled abroad? Anything that you took away from different parts of the world that way?
I think that they are very proud. They have a lot of pride in their culture and their food and everything. And I mean, about food, that was my biggest takeaway, that we should celebrate our ingredients. But in general, we, if you look at our temple, you look at our architecture, it's so colorful, it's so loud. A lot of even if you look at people on the streets, just walking on the streets, you look at their fashion, they're solid colors, right? Lesser patterns and things like that. In India, everything that every person wears, like even this kurta, everything has some like character to it, right? Whether they're patterns on a cloth or architecture on a building, from south it'll be different, from north it'll be different. We as educated Indians should take it as our responsibility to try and get that on a global platform. That is something that I realize, that we are so, like, in many cases much better, but because of things like safety, cleanliness, the last mile travel, because of those things, we are a little bit away from what would otherwise be better than most.
Okay. Even more specifically on the bakery level, the what you would have thought as an R&D, when you're doing those, when you travel to those places, like any kitchens that you would have spoken to, like Lynn. Those places, did you have anything that you took away for that matter specifically?
If you look at Paris, for example, bakery means boulangerie. I mean, that's what they call it, a boulangerie, or maybe I'm pronouncing it slightly wrong. But in French, that's what it is. they are not allowed to write the word boulangerie on their signboard unless they make the breads in house.
Okay.
If it's coming from somewhere else, it's a central kitchen. You can't call yourself a bakery.
Oh.
So that is how seriously they take their breads. They say it's not fresh, it's not made in house, and so you can call yourself a cafe or some cake shop or something like that. So there's a chain in London called Paul's, and I think they had this set up in Paris, but they couldn't say bakery. So they had to write cake shop.
Wow.
And so consumers instantly know.
Mhm.
And for that reason, in Europe, actually, the chains have not survived that well as they would in, say, a US or something. So US is very used to the chains, KFCs, McDonald's, everything has come out of there. But in Europe, there's still very this about their standalone, their neighborhood patisserie or their cafe. It's where they get like how we get our idli sambar dosa. And we know we're going to this Dashni, we've been going for 20 years, that's how it is for them and their cafes. So I found that to be a very beautiful concept.
Nice.
Yeah.
So there was, when you're beginning something like this, like, so we'll just touch upon what would it mean for someone to even think about getting into this business? What are the things they need to really be prepared of? What are the qualities that you think that they should have or cultivate? And also, like, in terms of legal things, right? Like FSSAI approvals and how you maintain your quality. I know anything which has to do with the kitchen clothes, you all have that the hairnet and all that kind of a thing. So how is it for you? How did it start for you when you built that? Was it any difficult? Is it difficult to get, like you said, barrier to entry was also less?
Yeah.
So that was more in terms of baking and cake, right? Like, so
in terms of the investment required.
Investments and businesses.
Yeah. So something that I think even before one starts any business for that matter, if it is something related to a skill-based business, one has to know, like I had to make a choice that do I want to be a chef or do I want to be an entrepreneur? There are many chef entrepreneurs who've done it really well, but they've taken most of their life to do it. Chef entrepreneurs, usually they're pretty old. Not to say there are no exceptions, but what I'm trying to say is that if I continue to be a baker, I would not be able to scale the business. Somebody else would have to generate demand. So you have to be very clear that how attached are you to your craft? Are you okay to delegate? Are you okay to hire? What parts of the business give you more joy and what parts are you okay to get somebody else to do? And then also swallow it if somebody else makes mistakes, because it's your brand name, it's your name, and it affects your reputation. So I've seen many home bakers and all my love to them, but if they hire someone, that person makes a mistake, they say, okay, go, I'll only do it.
Yeah.
Now if you say that to somebody else, I'll only do it, you'll be doing it all your life. Right. So
that's mainly because they have the thought that it's that attachment you said. Right?
Yeah, because it's part of your reputation. So it's very difficult to swallow that thought. More than anything else that you have to learn psychologically, you have to be like, okay, I was a craftsman, now I'm no longer a craftsman. Right? Somebody else is running my craft, I am running the business. So if that is your goal and if that's what gives you joy. There are many people who are bakers who are still baking every single cake themselves, and I have so much respect for them because their quality is unmatched. Right? Their name is going out with every cake. Right? That is a hard decision one has to come to terms with. After that, it's just a matter of what scale you are at, what parts you want to delegate. So first I used to bake myself. Then I started giving baking to someone else, but I used to talk to every customer myself. Then we gave the customer part to someone else. Then I used to handle all social media myself. Then we started giving social media to someone else. So like that, it's just one thing at a time. And then you carve your path for yourself. I think at one point of time, if someone told me that we would be doing this kind of business, I would not believe them. But where I want to go in 5 years, it's the bottom of the next mountain to climb. So it's just about preparing yourself and saying, okay, no matter what comes, it won't shake me. Or even if it shakes me, okay, one day I cry myself to sleep, next day get up and start again. You have to have that fire under your seat, otherwise.
That's beautiful. I mean, it's the story of every entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the preparation psychologically. You're saying that
Yeah.
it needs to be there. Investment wise, like as in to begin something from scratch, right? Like I know most of them would be doing this, right? Like they'll be preparing themselves in their house, and then they'll try to send it out to their groups and things, WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
I know someone who used to do that start in the beginning stages.
Yeah.
So for them, what kind of an advice, like for them to come from 0 to 1? I mean, they probably are at 1 already to 10 maybe. What kind of they would need investments, right? Like to hire more people, even to delegate when you said that, to catch those right people and to establish their niche, like you said. So, what kind of
Investment, I don't think you need investment to hire people for the kitchen. Because, like I said, the salaries for the kitchen, they are lower than if you were to hire some IT guys or something, then I'm sure they'll be much higher. But when you say investment, at least in my case, things like equipment, right? That's more expensive. You want to move to a bigger place, you have to give the down payment.
the
That's expensive.
OGB you said, right? I mean, the oven.
OTG is a
OTG,
domestic oven. That's your household things. You can make like 16 cupcakes at a time in that, a 4x4 row.
Okay.
But now I think we make 80 at a time in one oven.
Okay.
We have 2 ovens. So it's different. So what we use is called a deck oven. Then now I was exploring the next possibility, which could be a rotary oven that is much more expensive. So, but to answer your question in terms of what kind of investment they might need, I think if you're just to start in the sense of coming out of your house and just getting a commercial space, 500 square feet space is more than enough. Your rent will be about 20,000 rupees. You don't have to be on the main road because you can run it as a cloud kitchen.
Yeah.
If your rent is about 20,000 rupees, your down payment won't be more than 2 lakh, 1.5, 2 lakh rupees. Not down payment, what they call it, deposit. Deposit, yeah. And then you can get an oven for 50,000 rupees. So easily under 3-4 lakhs, FSSAI and all, also the basic FSSAI registration, on paper it's 100 rupees, but people charge 5,000 rupees to get it done.
Okay.
You don't need much else, just the usual tools. You need a fridge, a few tables.
Okay.
All that will come under 5 lakh rupees easily.
Okay.
Easy.
Yeah, that's a good insight, because I mean there might be someone watching who's looking at that. In your case, right, like for you, and not particularly you, let's just say for an average person, how long might it take for breaking even from these investments? As in, so your this is your initial investment, right? 5 lakhs and things, but your daily operations, your electricity, everything, you should just count minute way, which is what someone should do in a business.
Yeah.
Probably how long would it take for someone to get a break even?
There are 2 sides of it. One is investment, that's like a fixed asset. And then there are expenses, regular expenses. You should only make that jump when you know that your expenses will be covered by your sales. If you're at least making 50,000 rupees a month from your regular orders, then you know that, okay, I can at least pay rent of 20,000, I can pay one employee 15,000, and electricity of 3,000, whatever, and still take home maybe 10,000 rupees, whatever, some basic. I am not a believer of investing more than my business can sustain. By God's grace, we've never had to do that. From day one, we were profitable. So we just sold a little more, invested a little more, sold a little more than that, invested. So it's been very one cupcake at a time, as I call it. So I don't think you need to wait very long, because the investment is not very high. And these things, ovens and things, they'll last you years, like 10 years, easy. we have a gas oven. Nothing happens to it. It's just a hot box. It's not a complicated piece of equipment. So yeah, it's fine.
Who are the stakeholders? Normally in this business, right? Like your vendors, right? Like I know one is definitely the logistics team, like
Yeah.
and your gift business is also pan India, right? I mean, anybody can order it. So who all are the main people who you deal with? You have to be sure that they're all in the same alignment as you.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it was a very interesting time because Dunzo had just got funding when we started the business. So they were doing deep discounts, like within 3 kilometer radius, they were giving free delivery.
Okay.
So I really leveraged that. So at that time people didn't know Dunzo. Now there is Zepto and Blinkit and everything. But that's ecosystem helped my business grow and many other businesses grow. Now people are okay knowing that 10 kilometers you pay 200 rupees extra for delivery. They are not against it. They're not fighting you. But at that time, the consumers were used to paying 10-20 rupees on Swiggy. So they were like, oh, Swiggy is charging me 20 rupees. So why should I pay 200 rupees? Now, they didn't understand the whole that Swiggy is hyper-local. It's within 3 kilometers. So that is one. So you have to really till today, every porter or whatever app we are using for a delivery person, first we'll call them and say, sir, scooty hai ki bike hai? Then they'll be like, bike hai. Okay sir, cancel karti ho. And so that until we find a scooter. So that's just the reality of the business. Now that we're doing Pan India, there are certain platforms. We use a platform called iCarry. The entrepreneur is a friend of mine, amazing business. It's an aggregator of couriers. So it's your Zomato for couriers. You put all your PIN codes, it allots the courier based on the best deliverability of that area.
Optimizing that.
Optimizing that. Then we have our general suppliers. Suppliers are just like our customer, suppliers are our friends. They're also business people. I love meeting suppliers. Some of them, they have their businesses for 30 years. Some of them, they have family businesses. They have huge factories. Yesterday, I just went and met a lady 10 minutes away from us. They have a factory for 35 years. They've been doing this. So passionate about packaging and paper and ink. We spent 1.5 hours understanding her business. So
these are also people who give you flour and sugar and all the raw materials. Right?
Yeah, so that's a different vendor. Packaging is, these are manufacturers, right? So they are like paper packaging manufacturers. They make your cake boxes, gift boxes, etc. Then we have some now on the supplier side. Initially, we had one. We still work with the same vendor. When he thought that I was a home baker, I was a very small player. He would hardly pick up my phone. Right, and then he met me where he was buying his stuff. So I was buying wholesale from the same shop he was buying wholesale.
Well, if that's not success for you, I don't know what is, isn't it?
And then he saw the value of my bill and he said, oh, why are you buying from them? Why don't you buy from me? And then he came. And since then our relationship has been very different. Right, so now for certain vendors, we have some negotiating power because of the volumes. But now there are other bigger vendors or whatever. Like right now we're trying to explore tins. Tins have huge MOQs, like Indigo buys from them. They want 50,000 tins. We can't invest so much working capital and get it blocked in buying 50,000 tins. So
MOQs is minimum order quantity.
Minimum order quantity. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. The top of every mountain is the bottom of the next. And with some vendor you have negotiating power, and for some vendor you'll be the next ant that they don't care about. Right? So it's just, if you're ambitious, it drives you, and sometimes it doesn't.
I'm glad. So you might have, in so many years, right? You might have also had angry customers or somewhere, like you said, the sustainability norm, right, which didn't go well. So do you remember anything of that kind of a sort, and what did you do to amend that? Like, as in, how do you sort that out?
I'm not good with angry customers. I'm not good at all. So I mean, if they are legitimately angry for something that we got we really messed up with, then I am profusely apologetic and I will do everything in my capacity to fix it. And I don't so much believe in just giving a refund and then keeping customers happy. I think that they've ordered for a specific occasion and you should be able to provide a solution for that occasion. And giving a refund doesn't do anything. But in certain cases, customers are unreasonable, they are entitled, they just, they just don't treat you also as another human being. In which cases, I really give it back to them.
Oh yeah, that time.
That time. So I don't. That's why is one of the many reasons that I took myself away from talking to customers, because it is not. It's just too personal for me.
Okay.
So if you go back to a few years of Google reviews, and some of them being unreasonable, I have written a 500-word article to the response. So those were different days.
I was gonna say that I was angry as a customer once with you. Why I'll say, but then now I'm gonna stop. I'm thinking about it. The reason is because I think it was my birthday or something where some of our friends have through this thing, that ordered a cake where guy is playing PlayStation kind of a TV. So in that, the guy is, it's like predicting the future. It's like the guy is bald.
Really?
That's me. So I'm very angry with you that day.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No 500 essay for me. So on the lighter note, I think it was a very complete conversation. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And for the people who are watching, do check out Dream a Dozen on Instagram and wherever we'll be putting up the links on that. And we, as a customer, I know, except for that one order, everything else, I'm very happy. I'm sure you will also be. So thank you, Meghna.
Awesome. Thank you so much.